Greetings, everybody. Today I'd like to talk to you about numbness versus feeling alive. We know that drugs, alcohol, and cigarettes are highly addictive. But it's time to add a new, if you will, addiction, and that's called unintentional choices. Now, I bet you thought I was going to say screens, devices, social media. And there's no question that those activities can lead to a certain numbness. But what is numbness? Numbness, to me, is the absence of feeling alive. And in order to embrace aliveness, we have to be embodied. Now, most of us were trained to hide and cover up the realness of our bodies and our emotions. The Greeks gave us something called Orphic dualism that taught us that the body is the darkness. It's the site of lust and passion, to be avoided at all costs. The attitude that there's something dark and dangerous about the body have gone back centuries to religions that have encouraged us to transcend the body, to leave our bodies. The old idea, the ancient idea of spiritual purity, as that we need to rise above our animal instincts to leave our bodies, which leads to shame, disconnection, and addiction. That shame goes back generations. I love the story of the 4-year-old child who was leafing through an old family Bible. And a leaf fell out of the Bible, a dried leaf, and he takes the dried leaf and runs to his mother and said, "Mama, guess what? I found Adam's underwear." Covering ourselves, leaving the body, leads to a kind of numbness that it takes years to wake up. In addiction, many of us took refuge in numbness. And what happens when we do that? We become weary. We become anxious. Because even though we're disconnected, we know that there is some unprocessed life in our being. And we want to savor a sunset, but we can't. We might value love, but we can't feel it. We become cut off from the tenderness of life. The only way we can experience fully is through our senses. So how do we return? How do we wake ourselves up? Well, we do it with patience. And we do it with tenderness. When we catch ourselves in a trance, or even obsessing or ruminating, even for a few moments, see if you can catch it, come back with kindness, and do this a few times a day. Chances are, if you're obsessing, the underlying factor here is anxiety. So if everyone would take a breath, pause for a moment, and just check in to see what's going on in your body. Is your chest or stomach tight? Is your jaw clenched? And see what happens when you come back fully. Maybe start letting go of little places that are tight. And if we make it a practice to do a daily body scan, it does wake up our senses. Now, I would be remiss if I neglected to say that the body-mind split is most profound when there's been trauma. To cut off feeling is the body's protection. The brain will go to any length to keep us from our pain. And for some who find it excruciating to be in the body, it's finding areas or activities where you can be in your body in comfort. I was very moved by a story of a small girl, I think she was about 8, who had a lot of trauma, great emotional pain. And she said when she feels fear or terror, she puts her hand on her dog's heart until she feels calmer. Boy, I was moved by that. It's a great example of finding a little distraction that provides you with comfort. We know that recovering from addiction is like awakening from a deep, deep sleep. So let me ask you to contemplate. When was the last time you felt truly alive, and what were you doing? Who were you with, and how did you feel? In recovery, we have a choice. And making a choice to live a life of sobriety is choosing life, and making a choice to come back into our bodies and being aware when we disconnect. That's a life-giving strategy. It's time to shift from being pushed along by the river of life to surfing the wave of aliveness. Until next time.